Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. We are going to jump across the lakes on top of the lily pads, which means go really fast at looking at the headlines in Japan. But first, this just came across my computer and it is by my favorite writer, Siamak Masnavi. Just moments ago, literally moments ago, he wrote an article that is about the host of NBC's Crypto Trader, which we all know is part of the CNBC's South African division, Neu-Ner, and I had him mentioned in my video yesterday, and he said today, at this rate, XRP will be in the #1 spot by Friday. Well, I don't know so much about that, but as you know, he was not an XRP fan in the beginning. And just look at his last two tweets. This is very interesting. So here's where he said today at 10:23 that XRP will be the #1 spot by Friday. And he went on to say just a few hours later, I've made a lot of really bad calls in the bear market, but none as bad as the day I said that I would throw XRP in the garbage. So I know that makes a lot of the XRP holders happy, but we also have to remember that this is a very, very difficult day for many other holders. And I want us to all be humble and remember that it's not always easy being in the position that some of these other holders are in. So let's just always be aware of that. Okay, I just refreshed this, so this is current. And look at how far ahead XRP has moved from Ethereum. We are now looking at a $5 billion difference. You know, we were always touch and go with it with about 800,000 to a billion, but we are just clearly, as an XRP holder, moving ahead of Ethereum in a big way. So we now, of course, I think everybody has their sights on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is like my first child. I am a Bitcoin fan as well. It's just amazing how much forward movement XRP has made in this bad market. So we've got a $19 billion market cap according to the coinmarketcap.com. So I don't want any of those long emails in my comment section about how that is not the correct market cap. We are going by the ranking on this particular site. And then, of course, we've got Bitcoin, who has lost a little bit of its dominance. It's at a market cap of 81 billion. Wow, it's just amazing how much money has left the market. Actually, we are looking at a market cap overall, in total, 152. That number is shocking for me. All right, so I just want to go across some of the headlines here in Japan. And there are a couple stories that aren't getting coverage in the West, so we'll look at that. This first one, everybody knows about. This is XRP and the shout out that CZ gave on Binance to tell him or convince him why XRP should be a base currency. And that's actually been kind of fun. This is interesting. This is Aman. This is the very first. Yeah, this is the very first on the main stock exchange in Switzerland. I've got a friend here who's joined us. This is Momo. I don't think I've ever introduced Momo before. She's a little difficult. So if I don't just sit right, she she lets me know. Okay, so the Switzerland main stock exchange gives the green light to the world's first exchange traded product, and so the UNM Crypto Basket ETP, which is like an ETF, is going to have 5 leading coins in it. So it'll have half of the financial instrument will have Bitcoin, 25% will be XRP, 16% will be Ethereum, 5.2% will be BCH, and 3% will be Litecoin. So this is actually the wheels behind this product is a group out of London, the London Finance Technology Company. And I think the fun thing about it is the ticker symbol for this is HODL, H-O-D-L. Very clever. Okay, here we have a LA token. This is a domestic coin in project in Japan, and it has met a record amount of volume. We've talked about this before, so I don't want to waste any time on that. This is actually a story. It's basically some TNA about Bitcoin. This is the B2B RippleNet deal that occurred with, oh, you know what? I want to just go back to this. This is a shout out to C3 Nick. In this Binance article, you're mentioned. So if you want to see, you're making the headlines in Japan. Yes, C3 Nick is really great. If you're on Twitter, he has a lot of good content that comes out. Okay, this is about the B2B partnership with American Express, Santander, and Ripple. And they've teamed up to do cross-border remittances between the U.S. And the UK, which is a financial quarter that they're going to use the Pay1FX platform, very often referred to as the FX, the FXIP. So the payments will be fueled on the RippleNet rails, and yeah, it's great. I think, it's just, it's funny. We're not getting complacent with these announcements, but the announcements have been so fast and furious the last few weeks that we're like, yeah, okay, next. But I don't feel that way. It's a very special relationship. All right, this is Ethereum. Ethereum, boy, I'll tell you, it's got a hash rate that has decreased more than 20%, and it's very painful for the miners. This is an article that I want to talk about because I don't think it's being covered in the West. It's about Huobi. Huobi Exchange is originally from Hong Kong. They're actually doing business in Singapore right now, but they have set up the very first Communist Party working group to talk with China, and I just want to show you some pictures. This is from the opening ceremony, and I really do believe once China figures out how to effectively manage this kind of Wild West mentality, I am sure China is going to re-enter the market again. And I really, hats off to Huobi for putting together a group to communicate, educate, work, and promote the cryptocurrency ecosphere in China. All right, so then we've got another story here about Kraken. Kraken put out a big warning. This is kind of interesting. They put out a warning, let me go one more over, to their users about the high risk with the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. And there is a part in this article that I think is interesting. So they want to be sure that that there's extremely high risk in this particular investment, and the red flags for the traders should be that there are no wallets supporting replay protection, so be careful. There's no support in major block explorers. Miners apparently subsidize or operating at a loss. Representatives threatening and openly hostile towards other chains. Yeah, we knew that. I covered that yesterday. Chains survival may be mutually exclusive with other chains. Supply is temporarily constrained because of limited wallet support. Some holders have indicated that they'd be dumping everything ASAP, and last, Kraken has done only very minimal code reviews. So I think this is a very responsible warning, and I think everybody should heed that warning and just please be careful. Okay, moving right along, we have another TA on Bitcoin, which is in this free fall dive, as the article says. This is again another technical analysis with Ethereum. This is about Factom. Factom has had some double-digit gains in the last couple of days, which is really bucking the trend. They have a market capitalization of 70 million. They're ranked number 74 in the overall top 100. They're a software as service, or sometimes called an SaaS, where they provide efficiency and oversight to help the mortgage servicers. So they had a real big 40% hike in price up to about 907. I checked just right before this video and they have settled back down to about $7. If you want to kind of know, one of the neighboring coins right next to them on the market cap is Wanchain. That one had a lot of interest just a few months ago. All right, this is about Bitcoin. This is a tax article, so it really refers to the tax that you will incur should you have a gain or a loss, but it's really, in particular, it is addressing the Japanese market. This is Unikis. This is a decentralized platform that can be used to build apps on. It is one of the startups here in Japan. And then Tron, you know, I always say this, don't ever dismiss Justin Sun, because he is a fighter. And Tron just surpassed Ethereum in terms of the network decentralized application volume. So you have to give hats off to him, because that is a huge, huge achievement. And that actually comes from DApp Review. So I do believe it. It's not a tweet that is in a self-promotion way by Justin. I think it's the real deal. Okay, this is for those people who love conspiracy theories. This is IMMO, which is thought to be, well, I don't know. It's a worldwide stablecoin, and it's tied to the Rothschilds, although the Rothschilds family, but this story is saying that they are denying the association with the Rothschild family. You know, the fact is, back in February, Tether, Bitfinex, opened in a Dutch bank, ING, which is owned by the Rothschild Group. And just after that, the profit indicators soared. And then on February 22nd, Circle, which is, many people believe, when they think of Circle, they think only Goldman Sachs, but also it's a Rothschild's company, and they acquired Poloniex. So there is a lot of leaking stories that IMMO is actual Rothschild project, that it is the next new worldwide stablecoin that is going to replace fiat. So I don't know. You can do your own research and you can see for yourself. I think for those people who like conspiracy theories, this is a fun one. All right, this is a story about Venezuela. So they are taking some cryptocurrency in the country's largest department store. They are taking BCH, BTC, Dash, Ethereum, and Litecoin for payment. This is an article about Christies. So Christies has put their art sales on the blockchain in the tune of 318 million. This is another follow-up story to the ETP that is called HODL. And this is a weekly news summary, and I took a look and I have covered all of the news in that summary over the last week. So I think we're good to go on that. This is XRP and Binance. Okay, so this is another follow-up story to CZ, asking for everybody to convince him why XRP should be the next base currency on Binance. And then this is a story on Ripple. Oh, actually, you know what? I actually missed. I'm sorry. I skipped Thailand. So yesterday I had said that Thailand, or it was the day before, I start to lose track of my days, but Thailand was kind of slow to come to the party in regards to cryptocurrency, but they have really jumped in with both feet. And now they are experiencing their Wild West moment. And so there's a lot of unlicensed exchanges, and the government is please asking everyone to be very careful and don't trade on those unlicensed platforms. All right, this is a story I wanted to talk about. It is, it's kind of interesting. I think you've probably all seen these, but they did an article that summarizes all of the big predictions of the market. So when we come down here, the first person that is quoted is Tim Draper. He says that Bitcoin will be 110 billion yen by 2022. And then we have, of course, Tom Lee. Tom Lee says that Ethereum should hit 1,900 this year, I believe. Is it this year? I think, does it say? Yeah, sorry, I don't see the actual time frame on that. Maybe it's right here. Yeah, by Heisei 21. Yeah, okay. So, and then we've got this particular gentleman who is from LDJ Capital. They're out of New York City, and he states that Bitcoin will achieve a $30,000 price range this year. Michael Novogratz, of course, says that by year-end 2018 that Bitcoin is going to hit 40,000. I don't know, guys. These are big predictions. This is Takafumi Horie, which is very often referred to as Horimon here in Japan. He's very famous. He was an early tech adopter. He got himself into some hot water, did some time actually in jail. Now, you think he is not a stand-up guy, but actually he's kind of come out of the ashes like a phoenix. He's turned around his reputation. He's now regarded as someone who has really gone to war and survived, and I think for the most part, I mean, he still has his enemies, of course, but I think for the most part, he has a lot of people who respect what he's gone through, and he speaks out very often about the cryptocurrency space. So he, does he say anything here? He basically says, when I took notes, that he sees that the alternative currencies will probably be adopted in the developing countries very fast. And I think he's referring to countries like Venezuela or there some African nations that have some inherent local fiat instability and problems. And so they will turn to adopt these alternative currencies. And yeah, I think we're seeing that. And I believe he's absolutely right. All right, and then we come down to, these are just part of his blog. He's a big blogger. Then we talk about the expansion and the adoption. Ripple is mentioned at the end here. Basically, the adoption has been quite apparent with the banks. And then there's John McAfee, of course. He thinks it'll hit 1 million by 2020. The interesting thing is in this article, they don't mention about his promise that if it doesn't hit that price, what he'll do. It's funny. I couldn't find anywhere it was mentioned. I double checked twice. And then this is about how AI is going to be a part of the blockchain space. And gosh, WebBot. And I think that's about it. Yeah. DMMGO. They're just talking now about some of the, and SBI is mentioned in here, talking about some of the players in the space. So it's just a recap of where we are in the space thus far. Okay, so I think that's all I have for you today. However, the fluff, I'm about to go out and I'm about to meet some friends that have flown in from Malibu, California last night. And it's their first time here in Japan. And they're on some business they're just in and out in 48 hours basically. So I'll be able to catch up with them for dinner tonight, and they're trying to raise some money. So they are hopping around many countries, pitching their idea, and it's actually the wife's project, not the husband. The husband's just tagging along. Anyway, I'm very curious to hear their initial 24-hour reaction to Tokyo, and I thought, well, I would share with you what are, I wrote down 6, and there's many actually, but here are the 6 most common questions or comments I get from my friends that come and see Japan for the first time. So the first question is, where are all the old buildings? I mean, where's the old Japan? Well, if you come to Tokyo, you're not going to find the old Japan. Yeah, there are a few, but they're not so many. This is a very modern city, and it's very new, and most of the buildings have been built, while the ones that are standing now, because of earthquake standards too, some of the old buildings are not retrofitted, and they come down for safety. But I would say that for the most part, the buildings in Tokyo, with the exception of the real high rises that are 40, 50, 60 stories high, most of the smaller buildings were built in the 60s. So it's got this kind of mix of 1960s, 1970s with very, very ultra modern, just brand new in the last few years. So, but there's not the old Japan. You have to go to other parts of the country to see buildings that are homes, for example, that are over 150 years old. They're just not in Tokyo. Okay, and then another question I often get is, how do you manage in this country when only people can speak Japanese? Well, I think the official number is something like 3% of the population can speak English, but that's changing, and it's changing in a big way, and it's changing very fast, and the young people are doing a very good job at learning the language. They started earlier in terms of the curriculums in the school, and the amount of signs now are in Chinese, Korean, English, and Japanese. So when I first got here, there was nothing like that at all. And you still have to, if you're going to take a taxi, although there are some taxi cab drivers that are putting their best foot forward to get ready for the Olympics that occur here in 2020, but there are some things that you really still need to have the language to do. But even some of the restaurants, not all, but a few of the restaurants, and more as the closer we get to the Olympics, have some menus in English. But my point is that everybody is so kind, really, that if you come, don't let the language barrier stop you from coming, because you can still manage. All right, so why do so many Japanese people wear masks? I wrote that, so that's a question I always get. So there's really like 3 reasons for that. There are a lot of people who have allergies. This is not allergy season, but in the spring, when the cedar trees are in full bloom, I guess you would say, there are a lot of people who suffer, and they wear masks to reduce the effects of allergies. Also, too, people are aware of if they have a cold or they don't want to get a cold. And so it doesn't have anything to do with bad air. Actually, Tokyo's air is really great. The amount of cars, there's just actually no traffic. I remember I lived in San Francisco, LA, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, and those cities, all of them have horrible traffic, but you don't really have a bad traffic jam because the infrastructure is so great in terms of public transport, especially the trains. So the air is good. It's just people are very much in a close, it's crowded in Tokyo. And when you're on a train, you are right shoulder to shoulder with somebody. And if they are sick, you don't want to get their cold. So a lot of people wear a mask to prevent getting a cold if they're taking the train. And the same, it's a form of politeness. If you have a cold, you are expected to wear a mask so that you don't spread your germs. So that's that. Why is the city so clean when I can't find a trash bin? Yeah. Well, there are no trash bins for the most part. They have introduced some on the platforms with windows and clear bags, but it's for safety. They had a sarin gas attack a few years back, and they removed all the trash bins from the streets and train stations in efforts to try to eliminate a chance for another type of attack. And people are just expected to carry their own garbage home with them. So that's just the way it is. So you can't find a public trash bin for the most part. I mean, I can think of some exceptions. Sometimes you'll see a convenience store, very rare in the city, maybe in the countryside that's the case, but it's very rare. So just be prepared that if you come and you create some sort of garbage, you got to take it home with you and throw it away when you get home. All right. Does everybody give you a hot towel before your meal when you sit down at a restaurant? Yep, pretty much, like 90%. And in the summertime, you get a cold towel. So it's hot in the winter and cold in the summer. And what is it for? It's to make sure your hands are clean before you eat. And 6, trains are so quiet. I can't believe it. That's right. Nobody talks when they're on the train. I mean, if you do, it's in a very low voice, and never talk on your phone on the train. It is absolutely a no-no. So if for some reason you get a call that you must take, you then stand up, you go near the door, you cover your mouth, and the very next stop, you step out onto the platform and finish your call. But the trains are very mannerful, and if you even, I can think of some train manners that maybe we'll do a video about train manners in the future. Yeah. If you wear a backpack and get on the train, put the backpack in front. Don't leave it in the back, because what happens is you end up hitting people, and it's considered a little rude to bump into people with your backpack. So anyway, that's probably a whole nother video another time. All right, everybody, I got to go. Really, seriously. I'm running late, so I'm going to go meet my friends, and I'll let you know what their question was. I think one of these 6 will definitely come up tonight. Okay, everybody, please take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.